So, Patrick, I just wanted to start by talking to you today about no one can really expect how a series is going to be received when it first starts airing. How many weeks after the first episodes start coming out did you realize that The Pit was being received the way it was?
Well, that's a great question. It was sort of a tiered process. It was sort of a two-tier process. We got we got maybe two or three episodes in, and I started getting a lot of messages from healthcare workers. I got a lot of messages from nurses and doctors and ERs across the country being like, "Thank you so much for telling our story. This is incredible. I've never seen myself represented in a medical drama in a way that I felt was truthful or I felt seen in." And then over the first like episodes three, four, five, six, that really started building up steam amongst the healthcare community. And then, yeah, I don't know. It was around episode 9 or 10, around when I got fired, when all of a sudden, just like everybody else got involved. I don't know. It was crazy. But I mean, we set out to make a show for healthcare workers, about healthcare workers for healthcare workers. And um, I was really excited about that mission statement. And whenever we started getting feedback from actual frontline workers, I was really excited. But I don't think any of us dreamed of the broad response that we seem to be getting right now.
Sure. Is the critical reception a little bit second to getting the acclaim from healthcare workers that you guys are doing a good job?
I mean, the critical reception, I can never really know what to do with. I don't know what to make of that. I love it. I welcome it. But we yeah, we made this with the front line in mind. So that's who we were aiming for, and I'm really proud that we got to them.
How is it right now for you going back and forth between the grandiosity of Hamlet and the set of The Pit?
Yeah, yeah. It's fun. It's a lot. Hamlet is quite grand. It has a lot more fun than Langdon does. Um, but the last couple of days, we've been in medical training boot camp during the day, and then I go and do Hamlet at night. So the crossover period has just begun. And it's amazing. I think it's going to set me up to re-enter the pit season two really well, actually.
Well,
Would be very,
coming
would be very tired, but I think be useful tired.
I'm sure coming from such a heavy theater background, is there a difference in that kind of preparation than going into the pit knowing that you're now performing for the camera versus what you're doing at night on stage?
Yeah, I mean, the process is different. The process is different. Like one of my happiest places in the world is being in a rehearsal room for theater because you have this great month-long period of time where you're just there with your friends in the sandbox, building and wondering and challenging ideas and working in draft before anybody else sees it. And it's just this incredible creative cocoon that you get to live in for about a month. And you don't get that in TV in the same way. Because while we like the pit does feel like a cocoon, and certainly in season one for the first 5 months, nobody knew what we were doing. Nobody knew that we what we were doing. We didn't know if what we were doing was going to work, but it didn't really matter because we were just kind of we knew we were making something different. We knew we were not following the rules of the genre in a lot of ways. And I remember saying to Noah at one point, I was like, man, we watched the first episode and I was like, man, I love it. I love it. Um, if I think I said to him, I was like, I feel like this is one of those shows that people are going to brag about having watched, like The Wire, because it feels like an old school show, but it's a lot of jargon. It feels kind of niche. I don't know if it's going to work, but screw it, man. That's what we're doing. And we lived for like 5 months without an audience like that, and it was amazing. But like in TV, once the thing is in the can, once you shoot that scene and move on, you don't get to go back and try again. And so that is a bit of a heartbreaker for a theater creature like me. But I love it. The going back and forth is a dream.
Also, in that same regard, how do you get movements down?
Are
Are
you
you?
from North Carolina?
I'm from Alabama.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, when the camera obviously moves and there's a choreography to how you guys are moving through the pit on this show, how do you prepare for that? Do you take that into account when you're getting ready for scenes, or is that something kind of second nature that you're just hitting as you're going?
You can't. You can't really. There's no way to prepare for it. What you can prepare is uh, you can prepare your language. You can do your research, look up what everything means, because we get a lot of Greek and Latin words, and so you can do your research on what all of this means, when you would employ this technique, like what are you seeing in the patient that would lead you to this conclusion, so you can sort of start anticipating what you're going to be looking for. You can do your research on like where am I in my personal story arc with the relationships in the room with me. But when it comes to preparing for the dance of it, you just got to show up and dance.
How soon into your casting did you find out that Santos is correct about Langdon's drug use?
Initially did not. That was not part of the conversation. Initially, the Langdon was described to me as just the fun doctor that everybody loved. You
Mhm.
know, he sort of brash, sort of joking, sort of smart ass. But like, it wasn't until I think the screen test round where I got to actually meet John Wells that they handed me the scene from the episode 10 where I get fired or and so I knew it was coming. I knew the truth of the addiction was there from the beginning. And I also knew that I was not interested in playing the addiction, but playing the hiding of it.
Mhm.
Um, and I think Scott and John were similarly uh, committed to telling this story with naturalism and subtlety, and not making this a performance of suffering. You know.
Mhm. I, of course, have to ask you, everyone on the internet is obsessed with Langdon and Dr. Mel's relationship on the show. Of course, now one of our writers from Awards Watch recently talked to Taylor Dearden, and she had mentioned her belief that Mel might not have even gotten through the day without that early encouragement from your character. And I was wondering on the reverse side, how do you think Langdon would have fared the rest of the day, not having been with Dr. Mel and having those more delicate moments before getting fired?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so funny. I think it's so funny the conversation on the internet going on around us. But like I think when Mel walks through the door, it is a really unlikely kindred spirit that walks in. I think Langdon sees her and immediately can tell that she's very intelligent and is asking all the right questions and really sees the chessboard, and might need some reassurance that what she sees is correct, and that she's on the right page and she's asking the right questions. And I think also for Langdon, I think he tends to be moving so quickly and
Hmm.
cannot really stop and take care of himself very well. And so I think having someone there who has the generosity of spirit to ask for help and to slow down and admit that she's not okay in a moment, I think teaches Langdon a lot about himself, because it makes him sit down with her and say, no, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to to be overwhelmed at times. And I think it's one of those like, you know, easier said than done things, but I think sitting down with Mel and being able to say it uh, is a much needed opportunity for someone like Langdon.
Having a bit of self-reflection in that moment.
In learning through her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How is obviously you know a little bit about what's going on in season two. I saw that you guys got the first script. How are you approaching preparing for that versus how you prepared for season one of the show?
Um, well, I think we set ourselves up really well for season two, and Scott did an amazing job. We uh, got to know these characters across season one, and so now we're going back in season two, and we don't have to start from scratch. But also, we were we there's a lot of water left in the well, you know? Like there's a lot unknown about these characters still.
Mm.
And so I think um going into season two, just going back and um knowing what we've been through together as a team, having been through this mass casualty together and the relationships that have formed there and what I've been through as an individual.
Mm.
I really go on a roller coaster across season one. You get to meet Langdon sort of at the height of his confidence, at the height of his game, and he is brought down quite a few pegs and has been forced into a situation to do some self-reflection for the first time in maybe his life. And so I'm very excited. I can't speak in too many specificities, but I'm very excited and I've talked with some people out here in the real world that have really encouraged me about the story that we're telling. So I can't wait.
That's awesome. Before we get off of this, I have to ask you, I wanted to ask, are you most proud of the Pit, your theater work, or being part of the Dick Wolf cinematic universe?
The Dick Wolf cinematic universe is a legendary thing to be a part of. It is a rite of passage for every New York actor. And so no, but I'm just like incredibly grateful for this unbelievable journey that I'm on right now. I was very close to quitting. I was very close to walking away from this altogether. I auditioned for a long time. For 10 years, I auditioned uh, for film and TV, and it didn't work out. And I did my New York actor standard guest star spot on Law and Order, but it really had reached a point where I just I didn't think this was going to happen for me. And so the fact that this incredible opportunity has come along to not only you know be part of a TV show, but be part of a TV show that is telling such an important story with such integrity
Mhm.
and and to be received the way it's been received is just beyond my wildest dreams. And I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I can't believe I'm here.
Well, I'm thrilled for you and the rest of the cast. The show's amazing, and I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thanks, Tyler.